I welcome you all again to our YouTube channel. Today, in this class, let us discuss about the renal physiology. I am Manoj. As you all know, our syllabus is a competency-based learning pattern. In exam papers will be set based on the competencies only. So it's very important to cover all the competencies. Here we assure you that we cover each and every competencies in as short span as possible. So stay tuned with us by subscribing our channel. Without any further delay, let us start today's competency. Today competency is competency number PY 7.1, which include the description of the structure and function of the kidney. Kidneys are the reddish brown bean-shaped structures situated between the level of the last thoracic and the third lumbar vertebrae, close to the abdominal cavity. Each kidney in the human is about 10 to 12 centimeter in length, 5 to 7 centimeter in the width, and 2 to 3 centimeter in thickness. And the average weight of the kidney is 120 to 170 grams. When we look at the structure of a kidney, towards the center, inner concave surface of the kidney is a notch called as the hilum, through which the ureter, blood vessels, and the nerve enter the kidney. And inner to the hilum is a broad funnel-shaped spaces called as a renal pelvis, and each with a projection called as a calyces. Further, we can divide this kidney into two zones, that is, the outer cortex and the inner medulla. The cortex is further we can classify it as a cortical lobules and the renal columns. The cortical lobules are the tissues that line at the base of the pyramid and the surface of the kidney, and the renal columns are the cortical tissues that lie in between the pyramids. The inner part of the kidney is called as a medulla. The medulla consists of the renal pyramids. These are the renal pyramids, and these are triangular renal tissues which the base is directed towards the cortex and the apex is directed towards the renal pelvis. These are nearly 4 to 14 in number, and they will be separated from one another by these columns of Bertini. And some of these, the pyramids shows the striations which extends into the cortex. They are called as a medullary rays or renal papillae. Renal papillae. The structural and functional unit of kidney is called nephron. Each kidney has about 1.3 million nephrons. The structure of the nephron include the two major parts, that is the renal corpuscle that include the glomerulus and the glomerular capsule, and the renal tubule is which include the proximal convoluted tubule, the loop of Henle, DCT, and collecting duct, all together which opens into the renal pelvis and further into the ureter, and it enters the urinary bladder, and further through the urethra it is expelled outside. Now let us discuss in detail about the nephron. It has the two parts as I mentioned, that is the renal corpuscle and the renal tubule. The renal corpuscle or the Malpighian corpuscle, which include the glomerulus and the Bowman's capsule. The glomerulus is formed by the anastomosing branches of the afferent arteriole and the efferent arteriole. The blood enters the nephron via the afferent arteriole and leaves the nephron via efferent arteriole. Further, this efferent arteriole continues as a peritubular capillaries which surrounds the renal tubules. Glomerular capsule is also called as a Bowman's capsule. It encloses the glomerulus. It is formed by the two layers, that is, the outer parietal layer and the inner visceral layer. The space between them is called as a Bowman's space. Further, it continues with the renal tubules. When the blood is flowing in the glomerular capillaries, the filtration of the blood occurs at the three zones by crossing these three zones. That is, one, that is the capillary endothelium and the basement membrane and the visceral layer of the Bowman's capsule. By these three, crossing these three zones, the blood is filtered and we get the glomerular filtrate. And this process of filtration is called as ultrafiltration. Further, this will be detailedly dealt in the upcoming competencies. Renal tubules. The renal tubules include the proximal convoluted tubule, the loop of Henle, distal convoluted tubule, and the collecting ducts. Proximal convoluted tubule is the part which starts from the Bowman's capsule and extends up to the loop of Henle. This proximal convoluted tubule is the highly coiled portion of all the segments of the renal tubules. The PCT is lined by the simple cuboidal brush border epithelium. All the renal tubules will be lined by the simple cuboidal epithelium only. And the most important thing is that the most of all the reabsorption will takes place in this proximal convoluted tubule. Nearly 70 to 80% of the water is reabsorbed and all the glucose is reabsorbed and all majority of the electrolytes are reabsorbed in this segment. And it is helpful in maintaining the pH and ionic balance in the body fluids. It has the three parts, that is, the descending thick segment, ascending thin segment, which is followed by the thick ascending limb. The most important function of the loop of Henle is the concentration of urine, which is achieved by the counter current mechanism. The collecting duct is a long duct that extends from the cortex of the kidney to the part of the medulla. The large amount of water is reabsorbed from this region, which produces a concentrated urine. And it also helps in the pH and ionic balance in the blood. We can divide these collecting ducts into three regions, that is, the cortical collecting ducts, outer medullary collecting ducts, and inner medullary collecting ducts. There are two types of nephrons, that is, the cortical nephrons and juxtamedullary nephrons. And it is important to know the differences between these two, and sometimes this can be asked in your examinations, so just have a glance. One more important competency of the renal system is its functions of the kidney. So what are the functions of the kidney? Those are the excretory function, like it excretes the metabolic waste from our body, urea, uric acid, creatinine, etc. And it also excretes the foreign substances. Regulation of the water and inorganic ionic balance, and we all discuss these functions in detail in the upcoming chapters. Regulation of acid-base balance and hormonal regulation. It has the hormonal regulation. Why? Because the kidney will secrete the major hormones like renin, calciferol, and erythropoietin, which are further discussed in upcoming chapters. Yeah, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed the class, and let's meet tomorrow at the same time. So please do share, subscribe, and comment, and let me know if any changes. Okay, then, let us see you all in the next video.